How you lift weights actually changes how you look. No, I'm not talking about shaping and sculpting certain muscles over others. I'm talking about lifting heavy versus lifting lighter. There seems to be a difference. Lifting heavy tends to produce a granite hard look to the body. Muscles look dense and hard. Lifting with a little bit higher reps, getting that pump, tends to produce a rounder, fuller look to the muscle, maybe more like a bodybuilder. Now, I have no studies to support this whatsoever, but I have seen this personally in myself and in clients, and this is something that bodybuilders have speculated for decades. So do both. You want that granite hard look and the round, full muscles? Train the low reps and in the higher reps. Get the best of both worlds.
You've been watching my morning workouts again, huh?
Which one?
Yes, the main one.
Okay, I don't know.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, is heavy or lighter at the top?
The heavy. How would you study?
I don't know, dude, but tell me you haven't noticed this yourself.
I mean, we've talked about this. I made it. So
it's weird.
What I wonder is it though that maybe that whole time that I was training in hypertrophy, I just wasn't building as much muscle as I thought. I was just kind of airing it up all that time. And then maybe when I switched to lower reps, heavier weight, and really started to push myself that way, I actually just built more muscle. Do you think that's possible?
I don't know because
that I've thought about this and I've tried to wrap my brain around like what is going on that I could clearly see a difference in the way my physique looked pre-heavy strength training versus, a lot of hypertrophy training. But what I haven't figured out is if it's actually something like that, or maybe I actually just built significantly more muscle once I started training that way.
It's hard because I thought the same thing, but obviously bodybuilders are the most muscular strength athletes, right? They have the biggest muscles. That's not to say that powerlifters and weightlifters and other strength athletes aren't massive and muscular as well, but bodybuilders obviously build the most, I guess, visual muscle, and they tend to move towards more of the hypertrophy style stuff, focusing on the pump. But the look that you tend to observe in yourself, it is different. Like I just switched over, right? I haven't lifted heavy in a long time. I haven't done 5 rep sets in a long time. I've been kind of in this hypertrophy style of training for probably 4 months or so. And I switched over a couple of weeks ago, and I'm noticing it in my body. My muscles just look harder. I don't have the same kind of bubbly look, but it just, everything feels and looks a little denser. And every time I switch from one to the other, I notice this. And this, Arnold used to talk about this. Bodybuilders have talked about this for decades. Like they'll throw in a strength phase to get the granite hard look, or they'll go into the pump phase or whatever to kind of get that round, fuller
bubbly
look.
Yeah.
I don't know. My speculation is one is more muscle fiber growth, whereas the other one is more maybe sarcoplasmic growth. Remember, lean body mass isn't just muscle. It's anything that's not body fat. Mm-hmm. And muscles are 70% not muscle fiber. So if you were to take take a muscle off your body and dissect it and count everything that's in there, 30% of it is muscle fiber. 70% of it is other stuff, sarcoplasm, fluid, glycogen.
Do you think the hypertrophy training is training the muscle to allow more fluid to be able to be stored into the muscle belly, and then actually like heavy loaded training is actually stressing and breaking down the muscle fibers, which are then in turn adapting, growing, and rebuilding more? You think? And I know that both do a little bit of each other, right? So it's not like either or. I understand that for the people that are screaming at their radio right now. I know it's not that, but it's like, is one of them?
I think it's probably a computer or phone. Does anybody listen to us on the radio?
Phonograph.
You listen to your stereo in your car?
There you go.
So, do we not call it a radio anymore?
Well, no. I mean, you have a radio in your car where you tune in.
Yeah.
You don't tune in.
We're not on there.
We're not on FM or AM.
Yeah. But so if you were to say like I'm listening to you in the car, you would say stereo instead of radio. Why would you say radio?
Radio is the actual tuning in and the frequencies.
AM, FM.
Yeah, AM, FM.
That's right. Is that right?
That's correct.
Oh,
yeah.
so
Doug was around when they invented
technicality.
AM.
That's why I looked at him.
Well, back in the day, it was smoke signals.
Yeah. So your stereo.
He listened to tablets.
Stereo.
Actual tablets.
It just sounds weird to say it that way.
I know.
But you know what I mean, right? So I think obviously they both are doing that, right?
Yeah.
They both are contributing. But is it one of them is just so much more focused on volumizing the cells and allowing the fluids to be able to load, which gives you that kind of pumped, bubbly look. And then the other one is actually doing more dare I say, damage to the muscle?
I don't
Because
know.
they're both providing tension, so it's one of those things you think about because too, I don't know if it's like more demand with the like shearing forces or if it's because of the pumping, sometimes like I don't know if you're just squeezing more and like isolating like certain muscles so you can get like more of that focused pump out of it versus, like a full systemic effect of stress. I don't know.
I don't know. So this is, by the way, if you're listening this far, this is all pure. Everything we're doing here is pure
We're
speculation.
speculating. It's like
There
spaghetti
is
on a wall.
absolutely no data on anything.
Hopefully it's
that I'm
not your first time listening. We tend to
no. This is just like you could talk to strength athletes and bodybuilders, and many of them who've been doing this for a long time will tell you this, and it's been said so many times, and it's repeated so many times, and like we've seen in strength sports and bodybuilding, things that people have repeated over and over again that the science tends to be laugh at eventually gets proven right. Oh yeah, there's the value there. Maybe they were communicating it wrong, but there actually is something to this. So you guys have been observing something that's real. I don't know. It could also be this. The central nervous system controls how your muscle feels too. Yeah. It's not just the muscle, it's also central nervous system.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that high tension just kind of maintains this tighter feel maybe, and look, it could be a central nervous system function. I don't know.
Well, the low reps definitely, I feel, tap into a lot more central nervous system response versus the other. But yeah, that would be a big difference.
I've also noticed this. I'm sure you guys have too. Like those guys in the gym that are stronger than they look.
Yeah.
In terms of size, right? They're not big, but they're hella strong.
Right.
They always look like there's something solid and chiseled,
just grainy.
Yeah. Right? Like you guys, you ever meet someone in a blue collar job? Because we all work construction.
We always call it wiry.
Yeah, right? You ever see that wiry guy kind of skinny, 165-pound dude, strong as hell? You're like, where's he get that? But his muscles look grainy and just they're strong.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know either because the earlier years of my lifting was so much more focused on the hypertrophy. But I do, and I have shared this before. I do remember being so frustrated after lifting for years that I felt like I only looked like I worked out when I was working out.
When you were pumped.
Yeah, when I was all pumped up, I remember like, man, I just wish I could look like that all the time. And it wasn't until I really started lifting heavy that I feel like I achieved that look even outside of being aired up and pumped up. Like, and even now, like where I've been on this kick where I've lost a lot of weight, I've lost a lot of muscle. I still feel like I have a really solid base from that. Where that would never happen in the past. In the past, if I didn't train for a couple weeks or even a month, and I had lost a little bit of muscle or lost weight, it would all of a sudden look like I started all over again is what I felt like. And it wasn't until I felt like I really trained, consistently heavy loaded, like in low reps for a long period of time, that now it's like it seems to have stayed or built a longer lasting base. I don't know.
I just noticed like this. I'm only 3 weeks in, and I just feel it on myself. I know what I normally feel like. I could feel it on myself. I see it when I work out at the gym. I don't get the same pump, but I kind of have more of this like, I don't know, it's different look, more of this kind of grainy look. It just feels different. Side note, by the way, haven't deadlifted in months. On purpose. I avoided deadlifts for a long time, trying to balance things out. Avoided heavy backloaded squats for a long time, trying to balance things out. And so I went back to deadlifting for the first time last week, and I was able to pull 5 plates, which was made me happy. I was able to do. It was okay. You know where I got sore? In my brachialis muscle.
Oh wow!
Not in my back, not my hamstrings or my glutes.
Yeah.
But right in that muscle under the bicep, just from the tension of holding on to the bar. And I noticed my grip with 5 plates, like I could do it, but I noticed like I couldn't go much heavier because my grip wouldn't hold on. Just goes to show you, like if you don't train your grip heavy, you're not going to maintain that level of strength. Even though I've been lifting, I don't use wrist wraps.
That's what a lot of the strongman competitors would always notice too. Like if they didn't do any bicep training, like eventually that was one of the main culprits to tear and like limit their progress. So.
Yeah. Today's giveaway on YouTube is MAPS Anabolic Advanced. To enter to win, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. If you win, we're going to let you know in the comment section. We also have a sale this month. MAPS Bands and MAPS 40 Plus, both half off. If you're interested, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, here comes the show. Speaking of weightlifters, I don't know the name of this weightlifter. I posted it in our forum. This young lady, black girl, performing a clean.
I saw that video.
I didn't see it.
Oh, bro.
I didn't see it.
She gets the clean up.
It was the
and
toughest, most badass move I've seen.
You have to catch it, right, with your fingers on the bar. Her finger dislocates.
Yeah.
So she's holding it with
Mid-rep.
one hand, like this. She's got a dislocated finger, takes her other hand off, pops it into place, puts her hands under,
Pops it in place.
and then finishes the
with
lift.
the jerk. Yeah.
How did she even do that?
Bro, it's
She,
like
like,
you
bounced
see
it on
her
her
fingers.
shoulders?
Bouncing on her,
her
shoulders.
shoulders?
Yeah.
And then
she reached
pops
over?
it back
Pops it in.
Gets it back, and then
That's
Mid-lift,
press.
and then
That's
crushes
gangster.
it overhead.
I did not see you post
I
that.
have never seen anything so. That was so. There
got-
she is. Look. So watch her. It's her left hand. Oh, fingers jacked,
Oh, she's like,
and
showing
she's
it.
like, oh no, and look, she holds it on her shoulders, pops it into place, gets her hands back under, and then freaking rips it, dude.
Shut up.
I want to know her name.
what a badass.
What a badass,
Oh,
dude.
look at it. You see Element?
Oh,
sponsored
Element
that?
T.
So they sponsored
sponsor
it.
them. That's awesome.
Where is this? When is this?
I don't. Squat University posted it. I don't know her name.
Oh, wow. He normally tags. He didn't tag her. Huh? Oh, wow.
Have you guys ever done anything like that mid lift where some shit happens? and then-
No. Has
I wasn't
anybody?
competing.
Is that
so
a thing?
I don't know if
That's
I
not a
would.
thing. Nobody
Not
does
like
that.
that.
I've never heard of that or seen that before.
You ever have a bloody nose halfway through a set?
No.
Finish the set? I did.
I mean, I definitely, had blood and whatnot, and just kept going.
I don't think I've ever had a bloody nose.
Bro,
I've puked. I've done that, but I've never. Had
I was
bloody
a
nose.
kid when I first got into lifting. My parents were concerned, rightfully, because I was obsessed. So I just be in the backyard for 3 hours, and then my parents were just like, I know what they're. As a parent now, I'm sure the conversation was something like, "It's not really a bad thing, but he's a little obsessed. Should we say something?" So every once in a while, my mom would say something like, "Maybe you're going too hard. Maybe it's too long. Maybe." And so there was this one point, I think she saw me buy supplements and whatever. And she's like, I think you're doing too much. You need to whatever. And I'm just like, let me do my thing, mom, or whatever. So I'm in the backyard and I'm doing overhead press. And I wanted to go for a PR. I don't remember what it was of reps. And rep 2, my nose starts bleeding. But I'm feeling good. Hell no, I'm not stopping. So I finished the set. Of course, who walks out almost when I'm halfway through the set? My mom. So she sees blood coming down
God.
while I'm pressing the weight. Italian mom freaking out. You're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, no, I'm fine. I
That'd be an
promise you.
epic picture to have. Though.
Oh, I know.
That would be such a cool picture to have for sure.
It was a good
No,
time.
it was mainly concussions for me. I just kept playing.
Well, that's
which
football.
was, that's stupid.
That doesn't count.
And yeah,
You're supposed to,
fingers.
you're supposed to
part
get
of it.
those in football.
Yeah, that's part of the process. That's weird in weightlifting. You don't see that very often. That was cool.
I wonder, because I know you've had, how many concussions confirmed have you had?
Confirm 3, but a lot more than that.
I wonder how many you've given. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, no, I would
Cool
love
stat.
those stats.
Cool. It's like kills. You know what I'm saying?
You imagine get
Put those tally marks around my helmet.
I would hate to get hit by Justin. It's just, when Kyle told me the story of you in the mosh pit, he's like, oh yeah, he launched the guy. That's the word he used.
Speaking of Kyle, I saw that he looked like he saw a ghost after his drive with you back home from
you're-
Paso
He was a little
Robles.
shaky. I heard.
You're gonna get in trouble. My wife's listening to the pod. So I got to say this.
Did she not like you to drive fast? Did she give
No,
it?
dude.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm gonna get blasted. In fact, after
Yeah.
she hears this, and look, she's every right. I get, like, it's stupid. It's dangerous to drive fast. Where I just love it. I love to to do that. Well, let me back up for a second. We were creating another MAPS program. So every quarter we create a new MAPS program, and they're just so much fun. It's one of my favorite things that we do. We all get together, and for people who ask about what does that process look like, what it looks like is lots of focused, creative conversation, very creative, interrupted by tremendous shit talking. Like
like a lot.
yeah, dude.
It's a little more than extra. This
It's
time, I
just
felt.
we rip each other
Yeah.
and laugh, and then we get real creative and we put things together, and then we rip each other and laugh, and then 3 of us will gang up on the other guy and just beat him up. So Kyle, this was his first time ever being part of it, and
Yeah.
you could see his face was sore from laughing because the amount of shit talk that we do with each other. And I asked him afterwards, so what'd you think of the
Oh, you
process?
did? I wish. So I wanted to hear this. I wanted to hear.
Oh, he's like, it was awesome. He was like, so great to be a part of what you guys doing. I'm like, what'd you think of the shit talking? He's like, it was the funniest podcast I could ever listen to, because we're ourselves.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the way home, he was riding with me, and you guys are riding in your your fast cars or whatever, and so it's just it's exciting. We're kind of pushing each other, having fun. But we were alone, and so I was gassing it a little bit. And there was a couple times where there was an opening and I squeezed through it. Well, there was one where I'm coming up on a car and there's another car next to me who sees me coming up and speeds up to not let me in. You know how people do that?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I'm going to still get through. And yeah, dude, he did this in his seat. You know, and he goes, bro, that was close. And I start cracking up. Like, I'm sorry, I'll stop. And after that, I drove normal. You know?
No, you were moving fast for sure. Because I know how fast we were going, and the fact that we didn't
catch up to you. I was like, wait a minute.
This dude, I told Justin that. I was like, I bet he must be smashing right now. So.
It's too much fun, man.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of driving, I'm a little bit embarrassed that, that's like a thing that I'm into. And I had no idea this thing that we had in our backyard. Highway 9 to Skyline Ridge to Alice's restaurant. Which is funny because I've been nonstop talking about it for like the last 3 days, and like now everyone's like, "Oh yeah, bro, that's the." I'm like,
everybody knew about it.
Yeah. He's like, no one wanted to let me know or what? Like, didn't say anything.
I didn't know about it. So.
Well, I've been on this hunt for
like, have you guys heard of pizza? It's so delicious. Like,
I went down to Barnes and Noble last week and bought all these like maps and atlases and stuff like that, road maps for all of California and so I've had them out. Katrina's making fun of me, right? Because she comes in the other day.
Wait, you're spreading them all out?
Oh yeah, I got them all over the
Looks
counter
like
and stuff like that. And got my highlighter out, and I'm like highlighting all these cool paths. And I'm looking for like all these destination areas that we like to go. Like we go to Highway 1 a lot, and go down south Monterey area or up north Half Moon Bay area. And so I'm figuring out, okay, here's these destinations I like to go to. Now let me find the most creative pathways to go there. And so I've been like marking them off, and I've been like scouting them out, and then coming back and telling Katrina like, oh, we got to drive this. This would be a fun one to drive. And I found this place. I didn't know about it at all. No one had said anything. Maybe someone had mentioned to me and it didn't register or whatever, but I put it on there, and I tell her, I was like, hey, let's go for a drive. It was so cool because we came back early from Paso Robles, like you're talking about, which we thought we were going to be down there till Saturday to pick up Justin's car, and that got postponed. So I know he was all sour about that, and I felt bad. Yeah. So
sorry.
We come back early. Surprise! Katrina wasn't expecting me to be home, so she already had plans that Friday night to go do something. And then she's like, "Oh, now that you're back on Saturday, let's go for a drive on Saturday." I say, "Oh, awesome! I've already scouted this place out. Let's go." So she calls up her mom and asks, Tina if she'll watch Max, and she's like, "Of course, you can come stay the night." And so we drop him off, and then I'm like, "Hey, let's just pack a bag, just in case, and then we'll go for a drive." I said, "There's this restaurant I want to go to, and I want to take you on this road, and we'll figure it out from there. And if we really feel like doing the coast and then stopping, staying the night, then we have everything. We don't have to worry about it. And if we don't, then we'll come back home."
That's so nice.
She's like, "Oh my God, that'd be awesome. Let's do it." So we packed a bag and went and did it, and so I'm heading down this road. First of all, Skyline Ridgeway or whatever it's called is basically the just like it sounds, the ridge of the mountaintop line, and it's like overlooking Redwood City, Palo Alto, Saratoga, that whole area.
It's supposed
back
to be
there.
gorgeous.
It is beautiful. The road is beautiful. The scenery, views are beautiful. Half the time you're going through redwood trees, and so it creates almost like this canyon effect of the engine echoing.
I gotta do this.
Going through. Oh, it's just.
I've never done it, but I always hear about it.
Oh, and then we get and it's cool too because this is like you would never take this unless you're going there to drive or you live back there, because it's obviously not the fastest way to get to the Highway 1, but if you live back there, you would go back there, or 2, you're going back there literally just to drive. So there's like almost like this unsaid code of if you catch up to someone, they just pull over because it's a 2-lane road, right? And you can't pass because it's got too many turns and stuff like that. But it's got a lot of little turnouts. And
but everybody knows this is people drive this because
to drive.
of the drive.
That's right. And so you see someone, and I would do the same thing too. If someone actually like a street bike caught up to me or something like that, I'd merge over so they could scoot past me or whatever. And then we get down, we come around this corner out of the trees, and here out in the middle of like the forest is this little restaurant and single pump gas. And there must have been 100 and something cars. So imagine not seeing hardly anybody for an hour out in the middle of nowhere in the forest, a single pump gas station, and then a restaurant, and it's got like 100 cars. I mean, just packed. packed so much that the whole restaurant parking lot's filled. There's parking across the street that's filled. People are parked on the side of the street coming up, and there's all these people out with cameras and they're recording and taking photos, and all these beautiful cars and street bikes.
That's great.
And amazing food. I mean, it was such a cool experience, and it's really fun to watch Katrina fall in love with it, because it's like, we're 40.
Is she really liking it?
She's like, totally.
No way.
Yeah. So this is what you should.
Well, this is a dream for you.
So you have to. Yeah, it totally is. You have
How
to.
often does that happen?
So you have to ask her about it, because ever since her incident, she's been anemic and stuff, and of course the doctors say, like, no drinking, which for Katrina and her family is like, water, right? So it's like you can't have any alcohol. So this has been a long streak for her. The only other time she's ever not drank was during Max, right? So during pregnancy she did it, but other than that, like, this is the first time she's ever like gone this long. And she says, driving gives me the same feeling as like being intoxicated from the alcohol. So it's been like this really cool thing of, I don't miss it because I feel like I've replaced it with this newfound adrenaline love thing that I have. And it's been so cool to watch her start to kind of fall.
Wow, that's great that you guys are both into it.
Yeah.
It's typically the husband, and the wife's like, just puts up with it.
I know. I wasn't sure what it was. I wasn't sure. I took a risk hoping that she would really adopt it and like it. And because when she's in the passenger seat, she's not as much of a fan of it.
Of course.
So if I'm ripping around turns and stuff like that, she's like, slow down, constantly doing that. But once she got to be in the driver's seat and she's the one ripping around the corners, you see her like, that's awesome. Really start to get into it.
My dad rides motorcycles. He's got a Ducati, and
so many of them out there.
Yeah. So he belongs to a group, and they always go there. They always ride up there, and he always talks about it. But I don't think I've ever.
So Katrina's Troy, who passed away 7 years ago, Tina's husband before he passed, right? Late husband. He had a Ducati, and they used to go back there all the time. So when we got at the restaurant, she's texting her mom, "Oh my God, there it is, right there."
Yeah.
So and you can see, look at all kinds of cars, and the single pump gas station, and it's out in the middle of all these trees. It just you come around a corner, then all of a sudden it's there, and it looks just like that. That's exactly what you see. All these exotic, sick cars, everybody eating, and it's huge area to eat. So look at that, exactly like that. That's how it was.
Sick.
Just rows and rows of all these beautiful, sick cars. And like the whole drive, you see, oh my God, that looks just like, well, that's funny. That wasn't me.
Just like yours.
It looks just like mine. Mm-hmm. All these people on the sides of every turn, like videoing. And then I told Dylan about it, and Dylan's like, yeah, there's like full pages dedicated to.
This is literally the Yelp for Alice.
Yes.
For this place that you're going.
That's how much it is. Like, that's how common it is. We came back.
How cool is that? You open up a restaurant in the middle of nowhere, and everybody's like, what are you going to do? Who's going to become your customer?
Bro,
good.
I'm so interested.
No competition.
I'm so interested in the story, because imagine, I bet you the land cost them nothing. Nobody wants.
It's in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, nobody would want some property out in the middle, something like that. But I bet that place rips business wise.
And you said the food was good.
Amazing.
Is it a diner? Is it diner food?
It's burgers, pizzas.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a grill place.
We should all go up there.
I want to do this with you guys. It was so much fun that I would love. And then we continued on to Half Moon Bay, stayed at one of our favorite hotels there. Got up the next morning and then drove it back. And in the morning with the coastal dew and the sun beaming through the trees, it was just epic. Such an epic experience that was in our backyard this whole time, and I had no idea about it.
We got to do it together.
Oh, I know. I can't wait to take you guys, because it was so much fun.
Speaking of team and entourage and all that, I read some studies on the entourage effect for cannabinoids. Some new stuff that I wasn't familiar with. So the entourage effect, you guys, I've talked about this before. It refers to how in the cannabis plants or in the hemp plant, how the cannabinoids work better together, and they also work better in combination with other compounds in the plants, like the terpenes. Terpenes are what give them their scent and their smell. So check this out. This is just with other cannabinoids. So THC, which you'll find in cannabis, the pine-scented terpene. So whenever you smell pinene, that's the terpene, pinene, you'll smell it. It helps counteract the memory loss effects from THC.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
CBD and the peppery terpene, so there's one that smells kind of peppery, may be beneficial for the treatment of addiction. and then CBD and limonene. So limonene is the lemony smell.
Yeah.
By the way, lemons have it.
Yeah.
Okay. But if when you combine the two, they work together better to alleviate anxiety, which is interesting because the lemony smelling hemp extracts, those are always the ones I like the most.
Isn't it? I always find it interesting how like
Nature does this.
Yes.
I know.
And how we, the arrogance, right, of us to like, find
Take
something.
one thing,
right.
extract it.
We find something really good and like, oh yeah, let's extract it, make it 10 times more powerful, and like then it'll do this, it'll be better, and then we celebrate how amazing that was. Science is so amazing. And then like as time goes on and stuff unfolds, it's like, oh, but you're not getting this. Like, I mean, everything that we seem to find in nature, we tend to find out later on that something that it was paired with.
This is why you talk to people who've tried pure CBD and you'll get a mixed reaction. Some people are like, yeah, and other people are like, I don't notice anything. Then when they try like Ned is full spectrum. It's the whole plant. It's everything. It is CBD, but it's also the other cannabinoids, plus it's also all the terpenes and other compounds. And they'll say, oh, I really feel this. This is very, very different because of the combination of things that are in there.
And maybe that's why is because there's all these other benefits that you're getting besides maybe the benefit that you're taking it originally for is one thing, but then there's got this.
By the way,
just concentrating it isn't always going to give you all that benefit,
dude. It's so funny too because there are synthetic cannabinoids where they tried to copy THC to skirt through the law, and they were making these. They don't think they're available anymore because they banned them.
These like the zombie ones,
bro. They were trying
people
to
crazy.
They were creating these cannabinoid like synthetic type cannabinoids. They're not cannabinoids. They're not the phytocannabinoids, obviously, but they're synthetic. And people were ODing on them and getting all kinds of weird negative effects where you couldn't. I mean, technically, you can't overdose on the natural phytocannabinoids. It's almost impossible. Kids were buying these synthetic concentrated cannabinoids.
Yeah, I just heard bad stories.
And they would get really bad effects. It's like they're trying to copy nature and you end up with this like Frankenstein compound or whatever. But yeah, I know.
What did you do this weekend, Justin? Since you didn't get to get your car.
Yeah, I mean, since we're kind of preparing for this party, we're going to be throwing this like 70s party for this house that I'm going to be remodeling and working on. And so we kind of are using the pool. And in the pool, it was like such a beautiful weekend for that. Like so we're in this perfect spot where it's like the fog kind of rolls in early and burns off. And then it goes, a little further towards SoCal and like kind of misses us like towards like Watsonville. So it's like this perfect like view that we got over the weekend. So we just like spent a lot of time in the pool and then like trying to get everything kind of set up so we have like a crazy 70s everything in the house kind of ready to go for everybody. So that was like the majority of what we did this weekend.
Do you swim or when you get in the pool are you like
no dude I was just floating, bro.
That's what I did, bro. I just wade. You know what I mean?
Do you mean like swimming laps or something like that?
Yeah, like people like get wet, jump in.
No, like the lap pool stuff. Like no, I honestly, what I'm looking forward to is like keeping it cold and then using that as like, I'm just gonna go jump in the pool, come back, and that's like my first like cup of coffee.
You're gonna do it in the morning?
Yeah.
Have you done it yet?
I've done that before when we'd stay at like these Airbnbs and like
I love that.
I loved it. It was like
great.
Oh man, it just everything just like wakes up.
But the motivation to first do it. Oh, doesn't that suck? You're standing at the edge.
You got to get through that.
Yeah. Just fucking do it. No, I don't want to.
Just put my shorts on and go. But yeah, no, it just, so we were just chilling and obviously I was hoping to have the car so I could have cruised around and maybe met up with you. But, and I was talking to Adam a bit about it, but it's like, it's better because most guys I know that have gone this route would have to end up bringing their car back because like something would happen, like some part wouldn't have been a good fit. And so he's like troubleshooting all of these things right now. And he's very meticulous and so I have to trust, he's doing all this so that it's going to be built really well. So
I'm excited, bro.
Yeah.
Both you guys got the exact, like the two top favorite cars of mine ever. I'm not a big car guy, but there are some cars I really like.
Yeah.
And both of you guys have the ones.
Now we just got to get you on board now, dude.
Well, I mean,
especially how much you like to drive. It is funny that like you haven't gone and done that, because it's not like you don't like to drive. Like you like to drive.
I mean,
drive
I like
fast.
it. I'm not in love with
Not
it.
like me. I know
yeah,
you're not
you
like-
guys really enjoy it, and I appreciate. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I appreciate cars. Isn't it funny? I wonder if guys were doing this when cars didn't exist. You think guys were bringing up the horses to each other?
For sure.
Looking at each other's brakes, you know what I mean?
Racing them. And, of course they were. 100%. It's like I feel like it's like built in you. I really do. I feel like
we evolved.
Like
right,
sabotaging the other one by feeding them like sleepy oats or something.
bro, your horse looks fat. Oh, yeah. Test them out. Let's see what happens.
Let's put
it's funny you say that, because I bet it was like that, and I bet having a good looking, powerful, fast horse was like a big deal.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's a nice horse. How fast is it? How fast is it in the quarter mile?
The horse looking a little old.
I don't think we ever changed.
Or watch out.
I think it's so interesting that who was I talking to about that? I think it was Dylan. I was talking about how, you talk about the Justin's old school and the mind and stuff like that in the 60s. It's like, it's crazy to think that since then we haven't had a really good generation. And I know some people will argue like some of the stuff that we've had is there's been some pretty breakthrough cool cars, but as far as that, like how timeless those vehicles are, like it's like a piece of art, dude. Like that
it was the pinnacle.
I know.
I would say, well, for American automotive, it was the pinnacle. Muscle cars were the pinnacle of American automotive horsepower. I don't know if it was a pinnacle. 50s were pretty damn good too. That's when the American automotive industry was super dominant. But those muscle cars, I mean, they're always going to be
It's definitive. I mean,
definitive American muscle,
dude.
right?
Because anytime anybody gets excited about a new car coming out, like they model that design off of the muscle car. Like, this is the new version of the muscle car, and it's like, okay, yes, it finally looks like a cool muscle car that like happened already.
Did you guys see the ZR1? The unveiling of the ZR1?
So sick.
I sent it to Justin.
Yeah.
So Corvette's new ZR1 that just got unveiled, the
1,000 horsepower,
1,043 horsepower.
Okay, at some point, is it going to get ridiculous?
It already is. That's ridiculous.
Like, what are you going to do with
That's
that?
as fast as as much horsepower.
So, okay,
as
I
it
start
made.
putting rockets on cars.
I think that we're going to
Elon
see.
Musk will do it.
I think we're going to see a movement to come back to 500-600 horsepower, naturally aspirated engines, and
because of the enjoyment, the feel.
yes, because there's like
That's a good point.
I've experienced driving both, and there it is right there.
Dude, it
is sick though. It is definitely cool. And so you see that back windows?
Yeah.
So that's
split window.
That is a what do you call that? Like
An homage.
a nod, homage or a nod to the 1960 something Corvette when that was the only time they ever split windows, which is one of the most expensive old Corvettes that you can buy. But yeah, that was the reason why I thought that Justin was making that point about how, like, even when we make a modern car, one of the things, like one of the highlights of that car is that
it looks like an older.
Yeah, it's a nod back to the old split window of the 1960 whatever Corvette, and so
It is interesting though, right? How it captures so much passion. So in other words, there's got to be a deeper meaning than just it's fun, it's fast, right? There's got to be something deeper. And it has to be something evolutionary where if you were fast, you were probably a better hunter. You were probably more successful. And if you had a fast horse, well, now you could feed your horse and you were probably more, it means something more than what you see on the surface.
Okay, here's Katrina. So Katrina and I have been talking so much about this because this is like so new to her, and she's even surprising herself. Like, I'm really surprised how much I'm liking this and finding myself loving more and more. And one of the points that she brought up that is, I think, so true and she's like, when you're driving these things like that, the level of present, you are hyper, you are not distracted by anything.
That's what my dad says about motorcycle, because my dad's in his 60s now, and he got launched off his bike once relatively recently, miraculously came out with nothing. And he's a speed demon. My dad's always been that way. And my mom gave up a long time ago. She's like, let your dad do what he does. It makes him happy, because she used to be real, fearful. And I talked to my siblings and I had an intervention with my dad after he fell off his bike. And we said, you shouldn't be riding a motorcycle anymore. And he says, look, I know it's dangerous. I know it's this and that. And he goes, I don't think about anything else. I'm riding my bike and I am there and I am nowhere else. And I also know that my dad, he can miss being back home. He misses his family, you know. So it's being present, and it's got to feel so alleviating because our minds are always all over the place.
Yeah.
To be so just in here right now feels good. That's why people talk about being present. And one of the ways to do that is to be in a scary situation that requires all of your attention.
So Katrina got really, I hope she doesn't get mad at me for sharing this. She got really emotional after the drive back from LA. And, you know, you've been asking a lot how she's been doing as far as processing what she went through and stuff like that. And she's like, I had no idea that this would have been something that would have made me feel so much better. And a lot of that is just simply that.
Being present.
And I think that in today's time, it's always been valuable, but we rarely ever spend time not distracted by these phones and people and TVs and like this digital era. We've really supplemented every bit of downtime with some sort of entertainment digitally for ourselves, that there's very few things that we do on a regular basis that we're not also looking at our phone or also watching a TV screen. Like we always so this kind of brings it back to something like that. And anybody who's ever experienced flow state, right? If you've played on a team, you've done like a downhill, like, you know, skiing type, like I think those things do a really good job of that. Obviously skydive, crazy stuff like that. Like the feeling of flow state is so cool. And I think it's just one of those things that you kind of, it forces that.
There's a book that I'm halfway through, and I might have brought this up on the podcast. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And he talks about this. He talks about, and now it's a Christian-based book, but I think anybody can find value in it, where we're always rushed, we're always hurried, we're always thinking about the next thing, we're always so distracted, and how detrimental that is to our health, our mental health, but especially our spiritual health, because it prevents us from sitting and pondering and being present with some of the most important things, and how the world has gotten worse with it. And it's true, look.
Well, and we're being bombarded with fear.
We have all these time-saving devices. We have all these ways to schedule and know what we're supposed to do or whatever, that you would think that we have more of this time, but all we've done is filled up more of our space with more things. So like, to give an example, when we were kids, our parents didn't know where we were all the time. They didn't have tabs on us. They were not nearly as organized because they didn't have as many tools as we have. But, you know, they never organized play dates. They were never having to be present with everything their kids did, right? You went out and you played. Now, you're busier than ever because everything is scheduled and you're present. You have to be there for everything, and you have to schedule play dates, and you have to make sure it's all. And so it's like we're more sedentary yet busier. We filled our time with more stuff because of time-saving technology. So time-saving technology only gave us more time to fill with more stuff. It's like what people talk about with money. You make more money, you spend more money. You know, you ever hear people talk about that? And it's true. So reading this book, it's like, oh yeah, like we do this. Like, when do you ever have time to not be busy? And it's not that you don't have time, it's that you don't allow that time to happen. Think about when stupid stuff like waiting in line and sitting in the toilet.
Right.
You just don't do it without distracting yourself.
I also think it's the single most destructive thing we are doing for parent-children relationships.
Oh, that, yeah.
I think that either one, we are distracted as parents with our own phones, or two, we're using the technology to babysit our kids instead of and I really think that literally just making that a goal for your house of and being there to allow the conversations to have, to allow the potential activities, the play, the engagement. I think that we are I think it has a lot to do.
Have you guys, well, I was talking about this a lot with my kids, and I always get some new insight on a lot of, how they perceive, kids that are addicted to devices, and they all know, like, and they make fun of each other, and there's like degrees of,
kids are actually calling each other out?
Interesting. And they call it like, he's got brain rot, and then that's like a term that they use a lot of times too. And then certain kids are just addicted to like jumping on the next post if somebody does a Snapchat, and they're like just like constantly looking out for that. I guess there's this like whole, and this is going to be funny because this is going to, a lot of people are going to have an opinion about this whole like skibidi toilet thing.
What's
like,
that?
I don't know if you guys have heard about
Skibidi
this.
toilet?
It's
No
like
idea.
First of all, I know that's a word that Generation Z uses, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said that.
So
My daughter was
skibidi's
like,
a-
"Don't say that."
I've never heard of that.
you have, yeah,
Skibidi?
yeah. Welcome to like, like teenager lingo.
There's a lot of shit they say. That you're like,
Okay. So tell me, skibidi. What is?
It's like it's this really trippy, weird like video that I guess there's like 900 something videos somebody made where it's just like distorted, has this guy coming out of a toilet and then he's like doing all this weird, like it's really hard to describe. It's just like trippy. It's like it's almost like you're watching some kind of like psychedelic like video, but like geared towards kids somehow, and you literally get nothing from it. You get no education from it. You get barely entertainment from it. But
Are
it's
you
like
privy to this, Andrew?
weirdly addictive.
Justin's covered it pretty well. It's basically just like a meme that caught attention on YouTube.
So did you know about it too?
I just from kids talking about it, like
Oh,
10-year-olds and 9-year-olds. I've heard my son kind of say it from time to time, but Justin introducing it as brain rot is a good way.
Yeah, brain rot. So these, and I guess some kids like on their device will like watch
All
hundreds of
900
all day long. They're just like sucked into it, and it almost seems like some kind of weird mind.
got this one down here,
Mind
Doug.
control.
Is this it right here,
Yeah,
Doug?
there you go. It just it doesn't make any sense. It's like it's really trippy.
So does it mean, okay, skibidi toilet, does it mean like that someone made this for you to watch while you're on the toilet? Is that what the concept is?
No,
Is that,
no,
I
it's
think you just named it.
It's just a name, and
okay.
it's
17 million views.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like really okay. We lost it, but
Yeah, he's gonna put it up on the other one. Yeah, my daughter said it or showed me.
so they know too.
yeah,
Dude,
It's
they were like
viral.
trying to make like a series out of it or something. I'm like, how do you make a series out of this? It's almost like it's okay. Put it this way: it's like if you're watching a concert and you had like throwaway like B-roll video in the background with just digital like weird trippy imagery.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like what
We've
It
officially
is.
reached the place where we're not cool. You know, remember your parents were like, "I don't get it." They're like, "You wouldn't get it."
I don't get it at all, dude.
Yeah.
Well, even then, the kids are making fun of the kids that are watching it. You know, because it's such like nonsensical, stupid shit.
Yeah, this looks like a cool video game.
This is it?
Ow!
Yeah.
Is this it, Doug?
Yeah.
Are you sure? This looks like a
That's
cool.
what it says.
This looks like a cool game.
Now, is the whole thing like this, Justin, where it's like this kind of like animated
dystopian
video?
kind of animated, weird, and he's in a toilet, but he's
Yeah, that looks terrifying.
it
you
is.
ask
It's
me.
not. Yeah, it's like
And that went viral.
Scary.
Huh? All right. Well,
Interesting.
the future's a little terrifying, I think.
yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah, can you go way forward so I can just see if it's like continues
This
like
is
this?
the full episode. There must be clips of this or something.
Or no, just scroll way forward so I can see if it's like just this follows the same kind of
Like
interesting.
weirdness. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Just a bunch of weirdness. And this went viral.
Yep.
We're doing something wrong, guys.
We are.
Trying to get our information to go out there. We should have
Yeah. Why are
some-
we trying to educate?
We
Let's
should just do some random shit.
just random.
And-
Everything random.
There's probably some brilliance to this, right? There's
Oh, yeah.
whoever created it probably
Human
under-
psychology. They've nailed.
Yeah.
Just like we'll watch
What,
it.
dude?
We'll watch it because we're curious. Where's this going? You know. And so it's like this curiosity, I think, behind it. But like you
Yeah.
leave like with what? You know, like that's the thing is these kids just are like zombified after they're done. Just like,
Or it's got some more nefarious roots. I mean,
I know that's
what
what
are they
I
doing?
mean.
Well, that's what I was saying, yeah.
psychologically. What are they programming?
I don't know, man. There's a weird culture war going on right. Very, very weird and
Dude,
heated.
I hate, like I try to stay out of all this stuff as much as possible. I'm not in the political stuff, but the thing that happened in the Olympics to me
Oh,
is
yeah.
just, I don't know, man. I don't know if people think it's funny to do that, but it's crazy that we are okay with mocking Christianity in our country, yet we wouldn't do that to any other religion. And
You know-
it's so interesting how that's become okay to do that, and not just okay, but on one of the largest stands on the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't like some satire channel on Comedy Central or like
or some R-rated series.
or an R-rated funny skit. This is something being broadcasted to the world.
Yeah.
And we're okay with that. That's weird to me.
I'm a really new Christian. It hasn't been very long, so I'm not super well versed on theology. It's only been maybe 7 months that I would say I'm fully a Christian. And when I saw it, I got mad and raged, like I think most people. And then I got some wisdom from my wife. My wife, sat down and kind of was really helping me process some of it. And I thought a lot about it. And so this is my limited knowledge of the Bible. But from a spiritual standpoint, if you're a Christian, you know how this ends. I mean, the Bible tells you exactly how this ends, and the Bible tells you exactly what to do. And your job is to save as many people as possible. And if you believe this is the enemy, and now a lot of people are going to go, I don't believe in that spiritual war stuff. I feel like the people who put that together do. I feel like that's what they're trying to do. I don't think that they're doing it
very
tongue-in-cheek. And I think the enemy loves nothing more than for Christians to get mad and then mock the other side or mock people with the same kind of intent, because then what it does is it pushes more people away. So then what happens is you see lots of people making fun of the people who are mocking Christianity. Look at that person, how weird they are. Look at that woman with a beard. And so then people on the other side who still haven't moved over or who aren't Christians will say, oh, how can you be so intolerant? And what it does is it doesn't save anybody. I think when I see that and I get mad, but then I take a step back and I go, okay, the apostles preached within the Roman Empire, which is easily the most hostile time that a Christian could preach. They were persecuting them, they were putting them to death, they were crucifying them, and here are the apostles preaching. And they didn't grab swords, they didn't grab spears, they didn't go and try to overthrow. What they did was they preached the gospel, and here we are 2,000 years later, and the Roman Empire is gone, and Christianity has reached every corner of the world. So I think as Christians, two things you do, in my opinion, again, I'm a new Christian here, but my opinion, I don't want to watch anything that feels that way to me. So if I see that, which I saw it, I'm not going to watch the Olympics. I think and we're blessed to be in a market economy, market world where that actually has power. It wasn't like that in the past. In the past, you preached, they would kill you. So there's a lot of fear there. Now it's like, I can just turn it off, and there's billions of us. That has a lot of power, number one. And then number two, like, there's a lot of people that still need to be saved. There's a lot of people that look at that and think it's funny or whatever, and haven't truly heard the gospel, haven't truly heard the good news and what the Bible actually says, which is good. If you actually pay attention and you hear what the Bible says, it's the most inclusive religion. Literally, you are saved by accepting Christ, no matter where you're at. I mean, that's the story of Christ on the cross, and our job is to try and save as many people. So the rage, I get it because I felt it, but if we really want to help people the best we can, then trying to mock these people, make fun of them, all it does is it makes people go in the opposite direction. So, and that took me 3 days.
Yeah. Well, and what
processing.
they don't show is the thousands of people that got together the next day and held a prayer
That's
visual, for that. And, a lot of people were pretty upset about it and, and then got together. So it's, again, to me, it's just like, it's the world stage. It's the portrayal. It's a lot of the media. You kind of see, where that's been going. And this is just like, another layer to that.
There's two kinds of anger I see. One is Christian anger, real Christians who are like, oh, that's hurtful. Like, what is happening here? Why is this? And then I think there's cultural anger, which I think is what we're seeing more of. There's a lot of people who aren't necessarily Christian, but who are conservative, and they view this as a attack on culture. Yeah. Like, oh my God, look at these, like they're making fun of this culture that we're built upon. And that rage then fires back with their own making fun of and poking, and you're weird, not us, and you're, whatever, not us type of deal. And that just spirals into who knows what.
Well, all that aside, I was happy with one aspect, which was they were the opening kind of ceremony. They had like one of my favorite metal bands was playing, which I would have never thought was going to be playing, for like the Olympics. Gojira was playing, they're a French metal band. And so they're like chained up to this castle, and they're like all playing, and there's like explosions. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. Oh, it was sick. It was super cool.
Isn't that the original name for Godzilla? Gojira?
Yeah, I think so.
Gojira.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was I enjoyed that part of it. And then the rest it got kind of sideways.
I'm not watching it at all. I was sad because I love the Olympics, but after that, I'm just not going to tune in.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a little much. And I think you're right. I think that's the best way to handle some of this. I think that's the mistake I think a lot of people make too, is they feel like it's like you brought up like the as a Christian what you're supposed to do, right? But I think the challenge is I think so many people interpret how to go about that.
Yeah.
And I think
I mean, we don't set shit on fire and kill people because they mocked us. What we do is we live a way that converts.
Yeah.
And that is a testament. That is not a negative. A lot of people say it's a negative. We're weak or whatever. Are we? Or has Christianity survived some of the most insane stuff, and has it reached every corner of the world?
Is that the way it should be?
So, and again, we know the end. If you're a Christian, you know what the end is. So you already know what if you believe that's the word, then we know what the ending looks like. So, but it sucks. It sucks to see that, because it's like, all right, come on, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Why are they doing this?
In lighter news, I saw this.
You went there, okay?
I know. You're bringing that stuff up, and I'm like, oh, I was like, this is so like. I mean, it was weird to me, bothered me. I brought it to Katrina. I normally don't talk about this to get into that stuff, but it was like, it was a little over the top, man. It was a little more than, and on that stage, I think that's like, I don't care about social media stuff and what this person, that person says, like, but boy, man, you're broadcasting this to the world, and
they're lying now and saying it was a depiction of a Greek god or whatever. Shut up. Nobody knows who that is. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, I just whatever.
That's because they're feeling the market pressure.
Pale horse. Come on, dude. Yeah. The symbolism was completely obvious.
They're doing it on purpose, but they're feeling the market pressure. They pulled every clip of that off of YouTube, so you can't find that.
Oh, they did.
You can't find it.
Interesting.
And because they lost advertisers, they got lots of talk of boycott. So it's the beauty. We live in a market economy. We have so much power by just turning it off.
Yeah.
Which is great.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
So there's a company, like I said, transitioning to lighter news, called Ottopia, OTTOPIA, I think is how it's spelled. Pretty interesting. Obviously, we're in this. We've been talking about the race to autonomous cars, right, for a while. Who's going to win? What's that going to look like? How long is it going to take to happen? And this company, a startup company, has created basically a bridge between where we're at now to getting there. That's pretty brilliant for like designated drivers. So that is basically software to actually somebody is driving it remotely from home with cameras.
What?
Yes.
Trippy.
So it's not automatic.
Yeah.
But there's a driver.
Yes.
Interesting.
That's actually brilliant.
Yeah.
Very brilliant, right? And very brilliant, because the laws and regulations to become fully autonomous cars
really
are going
hard.
to be really hard and take a long time. This right here could become a
nice
billion-dollar company for a decade.
And then they could outsource it to, and it's cheap because people are just,
could be anywhere, right? Isn't that fascinating?
That is
Oh wow!
amazing.
So she's actually
driving it
with
she's
steering
driving
wheel.
it. It has a built-in camera system so that you can see all angles or whatever like that, and then they are remotely
And is
driving.
that legal? Are they letting them do it?
Supposedly.
Really?
Yeah.
What happens if she scratches up your rims?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. Not let her drive my car. She can drive a car. The
That's
autonomous.
great though.
But isn't that pretty brilliant?
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty clever because I think that's the part that I find most challenging is like with laws and regulations and how dangerous traffic laws and stuff can be. It's like it's going to take a long time before it's nothing but autonomous cars driving around.
Did you guys see? There was a report of a guy with like a jetpack that was in LAX, like that was just flying close to like the flight patterns.
What?
Yeah, and like multiple like pilots were like, yeah, there's like a jet man, like an Iron Man, like this became like a bit of a joke, but like came back and same thing was like you could see in the distance this little guy in a jetpack just flying around. And there's only like 2 or 3 companies that have made like serious innovation with those things. But one of them was just like the one like he was flying around in. Yeah. And it wasn't the one with like the propulsion on his arms, but it was on the back, and it had like. So, anyways, like they still don't know who it was. They couldn't catch him, but like it was funny to listen to the pilot's joke about it. Like, you know, LA's Iron Man, you know, like is back at it again, flying around, but they don't know how to like regulate it.
Oh, right so they don't know who it is, huh?
No, he was able to get away with it. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Wow.
Jetpack Man.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And they can't catch. I don't know who it is.
No.
So he invented it himself.
Well, I think he bought it. I mean, there's.
Where do you buy?
I've seen a lot of videos of these coming out where they'll
I have too.
They'll take them to like these specific events or like I've seen one off aircraft carriers.
Wait
a guy doing
that
it.
picture that he showed me don't look like a guy.
No, that
was
like
a weird robot.
There he is.
Oh, there's
yeah,
the guy.
yeah.
He's got sparks flying out the
That's
back.
one of it. So it wasn't that one. It was more like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of these popping up all over the place. That's super.
But what are we gonna do when like more people are just like just flying around independently like that?
Back to the car thing that I was sharing with you, because I was thinking about that more. Like how does this get integrated into like the society, and like what business captures this or like that? Imagine like right now, okay, like we've already created Uber, and Uber can become a lucrative position for somebody. Mm-hmm. Now imagine if these cars have the ability to put this on like imagine you pay a very low fee to have someone drive your car to work every day, so you could work while you go to work. That's even cheaper than what Uber is.
And they could go find parking.
Well, and what's awesome is that guy, he doesn't have the one drawback of being an Uber driver to make more money is going from each customer to each customer.
Yeah. The time in between. So now you can now on the next car. So so you could jump to like another car in a different area and just start driving.
Exactly. It's all digital. So imagine I have a contract with all three of you guys, and I drive you each to work, and you leave at this time, and I first drive Justin, and then immediately, Sal's got to leave. And then I'm
now the conspiracy theorist in me is like, wow, they could hack these cars and someone could drive your car.
Well, that's always been my concern with even with like electric vehicles.
Yeah, dude.
Just the accessibility is crazy.
I got to tell you guys. So NASM, we work with NASM. Do you know what they're doing for our listeners? 50 half off their certified nutrition course. So 50% off.
Oh wow!
Not 20% off. Not their. So
that's a great deal.
Yes. So instead of paying $8.99, it's $4.50.
Do they have a monthly option too?
Or $39 a month.
Oh wow!
Like that's a huge. Have you guys ever seen 50%?
How long they run this special for, Doug?
It's a good question. Let me see if I can find that out.
Yeah. So it's certified nutrition coach. They actually have a course if you want. By the way, as a trainer, the most challenging thing. Well, there's a lot of challenging things.
All month
for August. So with training people, there's lots of challenges. One of the biggest challenges is diet by far. It's workouts are not that hard because they're there. You're training them. Diet, very challenging, especially when you're trying to individualize it, especially when you're trying to get them to adopt different behaviors. NASM's, they're the gold standard in the industry when it comes to certifications. They have one for nutrition. And then again, 50% off for our listeners, half.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool too that they offer a payment option like that.
39 months.
That's one of the hardest parts. At least it was when we were trainers. Is a lot of certifications were so expensive, and you're not making very much money at the beginning. You're just building your clientele, and so the fact that they have payment options, offer that much of a discount for our listeners, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of trainers and coaches, how is your webinar? You and Jason Phillips doing a webinar. How's it filling up?
So the episode where we brought it up it doesn't go live until tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm anticipating probably. I mean, it's already got 200 people that are.
How many people would you like?
I would like to see 500 in there.
Okay.
So that's the goal, is to see probably 500. I'd like to see about 700 to 1,000 signed up, knowing that probably 50% can't be watching it live. So I'd like to get that.
Did you guys organize it all? You know what you're going to cover?
Him and I have a thread that we have in, because there's people already like asking for specific things. He has a big announcement that he wants to go over too, and so we have a thread where we're kind of gathering all that stuff, and then before we obviously go next week, him and I will meet and go over because there's going to be a lot. There's a lot already that we can't cover all of it. And so we'll narrow down what we think are probably the best topics to cover, because obviously you say something as vague as like helping people scale to, a 7-8 figure business, and there's like a million directions that you can take that. And then plus the news that he's going to announce, I think that's going to take up a lot of time. So
awesome.
At the end of the day, if you're a trainer, whether you're a brand new trainer or you've been working there you've been a trainer for a long time, I think we're going to bring tremendous value to both groups.
And it's not just because I know you and Jason. There's very few people that I would listen to who would, if someone put together hey, scale your training coaching business to 7-8 figures, I wouldn't watch unless it was a very few people. And you two guys for sure, because everybody else hasn't done it.
Well, that's step one, right? Yeah, we didn't make 7-8 figures selling 7-8 figure courses, right?
That's it.
My goal always when we do something like this is that if I want to be able to give enough like really good tactical things that people can walk away and go implement into their current business and make a difference. Like that's a huge win. If you can, Jay, you dedicated an hour of listening to Jason and I. Did we give you something that you went, oh shit, I can do that right now, or I can apply that right now and it make an impact? To me, that makes it all worth everything. So that's the goal.
And that's ncimindpump.com, and it's August 7th.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Tomorrow.
It'll be tomorrow. Get in there.
And it's free. So it's absolutely free. If you can't make the time live to where you can be in there asking live questions, you want to at least register, because then you'll get the replay sent over to you. So that's it's coming up. So let's go.
Brain FM plays music and sounds in your ears that actually changes the state of your mind. It's actually been proven by studies. In fact, this company was built by scientists working with musicians and was backed by funding from the National Science Foundation. It's crazy. Literally, you play this in your ears and then you feel focused, or you meditate, or you fall asleep. It's so effective. It really works. They're going to give you 30 days for free. Try it out for yourself. Watch how crazy this stuff is. Go to brain.fm/mind pump, and that's where you get 30 days of trial. Try it out. Within 5 minutes, you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, back to the show.
Our first caller is Boz from California.
What's up, Boz? How can we help you?
Yeah, what's happening?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for wow, this is great, man. I appreciate everything, and thanks for doing this. And like I said to Doug, appreciate him and all the admin stuff. You guys make it fast and easy to get to you, and you guys are awesome. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So yeah, just a quick background. I've been doing some personal training for the last year or so. Primarily a full-time dad, so kind of been side gigging for the last however long, can't even remember, but this is the ultimate side gig, and I really appreciate you guys steering me into that and providing a lot of good content and confidence, and just I really get to bring to the table a lot of cool knowledge, not just about fitness but life and parenting, and so you guys really make me feel special to do that. So
cool. Right on. That's great, man. Thanks. How can I help you?
Thanks, guys.
You got it.
I got a client, a 17-year-old kid, senior year. He's going into senior year. He's a tennis player, so really unique with his sports playing style. It's not a traditional wear and tear in the body. So I really want to dial him in. He's got one more year to just really have a lot of fun and be his best self. So my question is, he's brand new to lifting. Like I just got him these last couple months with summer. But like Justin knows, with the football guys going back to school, the schedules change and the workouts change. So I really want to dial him in to have an all year round, anabolic performance style training program that he can really depend on. And then, I really want to make sure he has a good relationship with fitness going forward. So like I said, he just started a couple months ago with me. We've been doing just regular, anabolic style 1 or 2 days a week, just technique and form, and just really trying to get him, connected to all the muscles. So we're about 2 months in, and man, we've seen great gains. He's put on weight. His appetite's gone up. So super stoked with all those markers. My question is do I just stick with the anabolic stuff and keep continuing to do like not heavy, but like teach him the big lifts and technique and form? Or like I said, he does play competitive tennis probably about once or twice a month, and he needs to kind of be his best self on those days. So my fear is overtraining him and getting him hurt, and then really not pushing him hard enough to we can see all the gains we can. He's a 17-year-old kid. He's about 5'8", 150. So great potential. So yeah, let me know what you guys think.
How much tennis is he playing during the week? Consistent, like on a consistent basis?
Yeah, great question. So over the last 2 months, I've been able to have him put the rocket down and just say, hey, I want to send signals that are just muscle building signals. He's had kind of an off season. He doesn't really have an off season, but now he wants to ramp it back up. So he's going to do at least, I think, even just for mentally 2 or 3 days a week, because I know he loves it. It's his passion. So I would say 2 or 3 days a week. And then I want to do like 2 or 3 days a week of, maybe one mobility session with 2 training sessions or something like that. But the caveat is he needs to be his best self, like on Saturday and Sunday, potentially for like 6 hours at a time.
And that's every week. That's every week, or that's twice a month, you said?
I would say twice a month.
Okay. So on a regular week, 1 day a week of strength training is what you want to stick to. If he's doing 3 days a week of tennis, 1 day a week is about as much as I would do with him. You can always do mobility, and you can do that on any day. So you can add that if you want. But otherwise, 1 day a week strength training, you can't go wrong with the 17-year-old kid with the big compound lifts. You can throw in a little bit more athletic-minded, functional type of exercise, but I would wait because he's so young. He needs to build some good coordination and strength, and a lot of what he's going to get for tennis is from the practice.
That's right.
Skills training.
Yeah.
You're actually doing a really good job with him the way you're training him right now, which is probably why you're seeing such great results. I honestly probably wouldn't make much tweaks. The only thing that I would adjust is literally based off of week to week and how he's feeling and responding to me. So I might train him once a week. Maybe sometimes I dip into 2. Maybe that second one looks more body weight, functional mobility type work. And then the other one is like an anabolic type of a lift. But what you're doing is actually a really good balance right now. I would not do, definitely not more than 2.
No.
But the question would really be like, is 1 or 2 like where at?
Now on the weeks where he's going to do the 6-hour tournaments, I would back way off.
Oh yeah.
So that week I would do a very short and moderate at most strength training session, 1 maybe
On Monday.
That's
Yeah,
it.
early.
On
week,
Monday he has a moderate intensity. That gives him all the way through the entire week to be 100% fully recovered. I think you'd be great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Because I know, I do know, he's a high school kid. I know he's probably going once or twice with his friends just to show off. So I really like that one, maybe that once a week with me. And then if he is messing around with his friends, at the gym once a week, like we're really kind of staying under that threshold. But I'm definitely like even the once a week we meet at the park, and then we have one of those great parks with all the pull-up stuff. So I don't even allow him to touch weights more than once a week.
Oh yeah. I love it, dude.
No, you're on point.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you're talking about, I don't really have a whole lot of critiques. I do think, like, if you want to get a little more specified with his training for tennis, that's where you could kind of peer in, to more of like the priming sequence and what's going to be most optimal for like competition versus, his practicing. So really bolstering those ankles, those hips, those shoulders, and really getting a good solid routine with that. So he knows, like, here's my go-to, before I'm going to accelerate at full capacity. So that way he's just mindful of like getting that right sequence established.
There's this idea that when you train an athlete, that the strength training should really be designed specific to the sport. Like, okay, they're a tennis player, so it's got to look like this, and these are the things we're going to work on. That doesn't happen till way later. I mean, that doesn't happen till there's a really solid base. They've been training for a long time, and then you're moving a few things. With a young athlete, it's like, if he's practicing tennis, then all you got to do is build general strength. The tennis itself is going to handle all the nuances of the lateral movement, rotation. That's all going to be developed through his practice. Your job is just to get him stronger in general.
Especially when you see that he has so much room to continue to improve on, let's say, a squat or a deadlift or something like that. Maybe it'd be different, because sometimes you see an anomaly, right, where a kid is just like impeccable squat, impeccable deadlift. But so long as there's room for you to keep critiquing, improving his foundational strength through those foundational movements, that's going to give you your biggest bang for your buck than trying to do like some very specific, tennis strength exercise.
Here's a weighted tennis racket in a band or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's perfect, guys. I got one more little follow-up, kind of about like a game day. So like, let's say he's got to play like 3 matches in one day, kind of 2 hours a piece. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's tough for him to even like wake up and eat breakfast. So I really have him loading up, obviously, the day before. and then eating whatever he can in the morning, and then my mindset's kind of like, is he doing element like salt tabs like all throughout the day? Is he just focusing maybe on hydration and like nutrient replacement, or you're trying to like shove a steak in there every now and then, like in between matches? Like,
no, I would have him drink element, and then in between
3 packets. You'd say in between
each game easily.
That's what I mean. In between each
easily.
one.
I mean, just all his water will have element. That's what I would do. Yeah. And then as he's in between games, some liquid calories, a little bit of carbohydrates and protein. You don't need a ton. 15 grams of protein, 30 grams of carbs in a liquid form. So
especially if you did a really good job of loading him the night before.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, just enough to fuel each game. What you don't want to do is eat a bunch of food and then an hour later have to go
bog
play.
him down.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. I kind of take the carb load approach like the football guys. Reminds me of high school. We do like the pasta feeds and kind of get really loaded up the nights before, and then game day is kind of game day.
Yeah, but in between, literally 15 grams of protein, 30 grams of carbs in liquid form. So it's like a half a scoop of protein, 30 grams of carbs, could be anything, Gatorade, could be juice, whatever. And then that's in between.
I mean, good like ready to drink protein shakes are perfect for this.
They can, but sometimes they're overkill because like 40 grams of protein.
No, that's not like standard ones. You don't need some muscle building 40 gram of protein. You just need the 20 to 30 gram of protein is probably where I'm going.
That's perfect, guys. You guys hit all my points there. That was excellent.
You're doing a great job, bro. I mean, literally. I mean, you're on point. You obviously been listening and paying attention for a long time. Are you already in our coaching program?
I've done all the free stuff you guys have given out. I did an NCI level 1 last year just because I wanted to add a little more to my depth and help and stuff like that. But I've been teaching and I've been in education and coaching for a long time. And then you guys, I probably listed about 4 years of your stuff. And then just lately with like the MAPS 15, I got 15, how much we've enjoyed that as a family. And like, just, I think the theme right now is like, you've always said, Adam, just let's do as little as possible and get a lot of change and like keep the stress low and just keep the progress moving. And man, you guys you guys' messages are super clear for me, and then I'm able to give it out to those people. So
that's
I really
awesome.
Appreciate.
Are you following our good buddies, all of our sports performance guys like Corey Schlesinger and Paul Fabritz, Max Marzo?
I'll have to write some of those down because
so
I'll look those guys up.
I'll give
definitely
PJF Performance. That's one. You got to be following him.
Brian Kula.
Brian Kula, and then Max Marzo. And then Corey Schlesinger, all those guys. I would put them up with 4 of the best athletic trainers in the game. I mean, they're the guys who I'm watching.
DeFranco,
and following.
Smitty.
I put
those guys.
Joe DeFranco.
Joe DeFranco's in there too for sure. Yeah, those are all world class, athletic trainers.
That's perfect, guys. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate all the content you guys give out for free, and it's keeping me busy and keeping everybody confident. Like I said, confident. You guys just give us a lot of ammo at the dinner table. So
awesome.
I feel pretty cool.
All right, boss. Thank you.
Keep it up, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care.
Who was it that we interviewed? It was one of those guys that you mentioned where they talked about with young athletes what they find, and the data now shows us pretty clearly that if you take a young athlete, for example, and have them focus on soccer all the way up until they're
that's actually nobody I mentioned. Yeah. That's Wes.
Yeah.
That was Wes.
Wes,
come on, Justin, you know this.
Yeah. Chad Wesley Smith.
Thank you.
There you go. So the data for people who aren't familiar, if you were to take young athletes and they had let's say a propensity or a talent for a particular sport, it's better off to put them in a lot of different sports and then have them specialize far later, like high school or even
after high school. They're more resilient to these unknown variables.
Right.
He actually recommended, even in high school, doing at least 2 sports.
Because they find they do better at the sport that you want them to get better at. So they'll get better at soccer if they played a bunch of sports growing up than if they just played soccer.
It just fills a lot of gaps.
And the reason why I'm bringing that up is strength training is very similar. You get a lot of trainers that train athletes, younger athletes, and they think they have to get really fancy with how they train them, and it's got to be sport specific and it's got to be whatever. The best thing you could for a young athlete is just get them generally stronger. That's it. Now later, once they get to maybe super high levels of high school or definitely college and above, then things start to get really specific and specialized with training. But until you get to that point, like their practice and their games and their sports are going to provide all those nuances. Your goal is to get them stronger, and that's it.
Foundational base strength and then just quality, sharp movement.
I mean, I always use it, especially when we're talking about athletes. I use the basketball analogy of like, if I've got an athlete that I'm trying to make a great basketball player. I'm not teaching him between the legs spin drills and fancy passes. I want him to be an incredible dribbler with his left, an incredible dribbler with his right, like perfect form and technique with shot. And you're going to drill that home for such a long period of time, so he has this solid foundation. Then you layer on that other stuff later on. And so,
but that stuff can't layer unless you master the
That's right.
foundation.
That's right. Everybody wants to like go,
Yep.
oh, I want to learn how to do that crazy move. And so they're practicing that crazy move, but then they have terrible foundational skills. It's like, no, like master the foundational stuff first. And then when you start adding all the like you said, creative like exercises that are sport specific to tennis, like that's great. And that's why I brought the point up. Like sometimes I've actually seen it like a handful of times in my career where you do have an anomaly kind of an athlete, a kid that just the first time he squatted, he had better form than you. Like you just, sometimes you see that and then you can start to layer that stuff on a little bit sooner. But most kids, man, they could spend their whole high school career pretty much just getting good at the basic movements.
90%.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Most all of them.
Our next caller is Dominic from Texas.
Dominic, what's happening?
What up,
What's
Dom?
up, man?
Hey guys, it's so good to see you. Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
You got it, dude. What's happening? How can we help you?
So I've got a little bit of an interesting question. On the suggestion of Adam on a previous show, he mentioned like around the time that you turn 30, trying to go and get labs done and get a baseline for where you're kind of at. And I did that. I just turned 30 over the weekend. And I went and did all of my labs, and I got some pretty interesting numbers back on my testosterone, and I kind of wanted to know what you guys would recommend moving forward. So my total testosterone came out to 984 nanograms per deciliter, which my doctor actually asked me if I was on anything synthetic because he thought it was pretty high.
Yep.
Free testosterone was 268.6. And then basically kind of the direction I'm wanting to go is I've been training consistently for the last about 2.5 years or so. I've lost about 160 pounds in that time. And I'm wondering if I should shift my focus kind of away from the weight loss aspect and more toward just getting as big and as strong as humanly possible, as much as I can.
100%.
Because I have those numbers. That's kind of, I don't know. What direction do you think you guys would go if I were a client of yours?
I mean, those numbers are going to help you.
Get big or die.
Yeah, those those numbers are going to help you regardless of what your goal are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So healthy testosterone levels are. Are you sure that's your free testosterone? That's an insane. Oh, that's picograms. Never mind. Yeah, very high. You're going to do well going into cut or trying to get bigger with numbers like that. So you're in a deficit right now, and your testosterone's at those levels.
I was in a deficit for a long time. I'm kind of at maintenance right now, which I did a little bit of a reverse diet. I'm sitting at around 3,000 calories and 225 grams of protein right now, which is right around maintenance. I'm not really seeing much movement on the scale right now, up or down.
How tall are you, and how much do you weigh?
6'5" and right around 250 right now.
Oh, shit,
So
you're a big boy.
a monster.
That's like a cut, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, you're a big boy.
Yeah, do you know what your body fat's at?
I've not done a specific test. Obviously my bioelectrical impedance scale has me in the low 30s, but I think a lot of that is loose skin just from the weight loss.
I hear
would
ya.
probably put myself somewhere in the mid to high 20s.
Yeah, I hear you. So if you went back up to maintenance now, I would go. And how long were you going to cut for, actually?
I did the standard, tracking app cut that had me. I was just over 400 pounds and I was eating at like 2,300, 2,400 for about a year and a half.
Whoa, you were over 400 pounds?
Yeah.
Wow. You've made an insane transformation.
Great job, bro.
Wow, incredible.
I would do.
Thanks to
I would
you
do
guys.
Oh,
I would
wow.
do I would go reverse diet. I would go reverse
So would I.
diet.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
And get
dude.
really strong.
Yep.
And then your calories will probably climb over 4,000 for a guy your size, and then you can
But
start cutting
slowly
again.
get there, though. You're doing like the fact that you're at 3,000, you're kind of maintaining. Jump up to 3,250 or 3,300 for a
Have
week
fun
or
with
two.
getting strong.
Enjoy that for a couple of weeks. If you feel feeling good, you don't feel like you're putting on body fat, jump up to 3,500. I would just keep incrementally getting up until you're 4,000 plus calories. Because I think with your size and muscle mass, and if you're running our programs, you should be able to get them calories up over 4,000.
And keep this in mind too, Dominic. If you reverse diet well, and you get stronger and build muscle, you can very well get leaner in the process. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're losing body fat pounds, but if you were to gain 10 pounds of lean body mass, you would be leaner as a percentage of your body weight. So you could gain muscle, gain no body fat, and you're getting leaner. Remember, it's percentage that matters, not the amount of body fat that you have on your body, but rather the percentage of your body that is body fat. So you could gain muscle in a reverse diet, not gain any body fat, and actually get leaner through the process. How's your strength in the big lifts?
Pretty good. I mean, I've only been really barbell training for a year and a half or so. So I'm deadlifting. I can do like 405 on deadlift right now for 3. I can bench 255 in that 3 to 5 rep range, and my squat's right around 405.
You're doing great. Yeah, reverse diet and build, man.
Yeah.
Reverse diet and build.
And the fact that you only been barbell lifting
I was
for
going to say there's a lot of potential.
There's so much potential
ahead
right
of
now.
you.
Yeah.
You're in a great place. The fact that you're eating 3,000 and that's maintenance for you right now. You have plenty of room to go up, and you don't need to do it fast. You just, like I said, add 30, go to 250 calories every couple weeks, and just keep kind of lift or increasing like that.
Yeah.
And watch yourself get, like Sal's saying, get leaner, build muscle, maybe even go up a couple pounds on the scale, but actually get leaner while you do that nice and slow and controlled. And you can even interrupt that with like little weak cuts in between. So let's say I jumped you up to 3,250. Oh, you're feeling great. So we go up to 3,500. By the second week at 3,500, you're like, oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm putting on a little bit of body fat. Okay, cool. Let's run a 1 week cut. Drop it all the way back down to 2,500 to 2,700 calories for 1 week, and then go back again. And you can kind of interrupt this kind of reverse, bulk or whatever for a while with these little mini interruptions of low calories just for a week, and then go back to it. And I think by doing that, I think you'll really minimize the amount of body fat you put on, and you'll just keep putting lean body mass on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, Dominic, what kind of lifestyle did you lead before and then after? Like what prompted you to make these changes? Because that's a remarkable transformation.
Well, I mean, before I was eating out 2 to 3 times a day, eating, just not paying attention at all to my diet. And the big thing that prompted that was all during graduate school, and I was getting my master's degree, and then just the pandemic and all of the things just added a lot of stress. But the big thing that kind of prompted the lifestyle change, my older brother was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and he ended up passing away about a year and a half ago.
Sorry to hear that.
So I saw him and what he was going through, and just listening to you guys over the years, muscle is very cancer fighting. And that was a lot of what kind of shifted my focus, as I wanted to set myself up and be healthy in case that is something that's genetically predisposed. I wanted to make sure that I was in a good place, and I was not when I was over 400 pounds. So I wanted to kind of set myself up in case something like that happened.
Good for you, bro.
Yeah, good for you, man. Sorry to hear about your loss, but I'm glad you're on this path. So it's great to hear. I love hearing success stories like this.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Yep.
That's a nice slow reverse diet. You're gonna love how your body responds.
What programs of ours have you ran, and what are you running currently right now? I'm trying to think of what we would send you program wise.
I started with anabolic, and then I ran symmetry. I've run powerlift. I've run aesthetic now that I'm on my second run of aesthetic, because right now the workload is less. I'm a teacher, so I'm in the summer months. I don't work as many hours. So I increased the volume with aesthetic. My wife's running MAPS Muscle Mommy right now. I've not run strong yet. That would be one that
I like strong, or
I like
strong
anabolic advanced
or
too.
anabolic advanced.
Oh yeah, that too. Yep.
Which one you want?
Let's try anabolic advanced. That'd be cool.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it, brother.
That with your calorie increase. Oh, look out. That'll be fun to watch. I'd love to hear back. I'd love to hear back from you after you run through that, see where you're at.
Okay.
Yep. Check back
Now,
with us. What's up?
Real quick, I had a quick follow-up. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So with me being in that dramatic deficit for so long, would it be wise to just stay in this reverse for like a year, like 12, 18 months, or should I just go until I feel like I'm just stuffing myself?
You could literally do what I was saying for ever, right? You could just always be kind of slowly adding the calories. When you start to feel like, oh, I'm feeling lethargic, or I feel like I'm putting a little body fat on, go on a little mini cut and then go back. You can continually interrupt that kind of slow reverse diet. And then you'll get to a place, the perfect world is that we land you somewhere, say around 3,500 to 4,000 calories, where you don't feel like you're stuffing yourself. You feel very satisfied. It's very comfortable and natural for you to eat that many calories. You don't feel like you're depriving yourself, and you can sustain that. And then you just kind of hover around that calorie. That's ideally, that's where we want. So I don't know how you feel right now, if it feels like it's a lot of food or it feels like you are restricting a little bit. But ideally, I want to get my client to a place where I'm starting to stretch them as far as how much they have to eat. They're starting to give me that feedback of like, Adam, there's a lot of food. It's like, okay, cool. Let's cut back a tiny bit. And there's where I want to help. I want to keep you kind of hanging out right there. That's the goal.
Okay. I could definitely eat more, so I'm all right with that.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's why I figured that. You're a big guy. I imagine it's going to be 3,500 to 4,000 is where you're going to want to be
It's
minimal.
also pretty remarkable that your hormone levels are where they're at with how much weight you lost and the cut you went through. I'm not surprised the doctor thought you were on gear, because those are pretty crazy numbers.
I mean, it's also a testament of you're doing things the right way.
That's right.
It's a testament of how the way you're eating and training right now is the right way, and it's responding very well.
Awesome.
Great
cool.
work.
Thank you guys so much.
Yep.
I really
You got
appreciate it.
Take it easy.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, his total is at the upper limit. His free is actually a little outside. That's how high it is.
Wow.
Yeah, for somebody his
That's
age.
impressive.
And the fact
And
that
like you said, coming from being obese, that's crazy.
typically what you see when you get somebody who's lost that much weight, especially if they just cut their calories for a long period of time, overtrain, is depressed testosterone levels. So,
Now, what would have been really cool to see is where he was at when he was 400 pounds, because it would be really interesting if this is a response of him reducing body fat, building muscle.
that's the other thing. If you do it right, you get a better response. Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is like, man, maybe I would have loved to have seen where his levels were when he was, say, 28 years old and 400 pounds. And then all of a sudden he started really taking care of himself. And even though he was in a cut, his testosterone levels went up because let's be honest, what he probably did was he built muscle and lost body fat at the same time.
Exactly.
So that's incredible.
Our next caller is Nicole from Maryland.
Hi, Nicole. How can we help you?
Hello.
Hi. Well, thank you so much for taking my question. And before I ask, I just want to say, like every other listener, thank you so much for what you put out there in the fitness world, and specifically for all you do for women to break free from toxic diet culture and focus on getting stronger and being healthier instead of just being skinny. I really appreciate that. And I know so many of us do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my question today is about coaching women. So I am a coach for perimenopause and postmenopausal women, and a lot of them really would like to build strength and lose body fat. And I always program deadlift variations and squats into their fitness program. But I was just wondering specifically about squats, which are often a challenge for their baseline mobility and strength. So is it better to work with them on perfecting a deeper range of motion with their squat first, so that they're doing more of the ass to grass style and using lighter weights so that they can get there? Or is it better to use heavier weights and have them not put their thighs quite parallel to the ground and work on building strength that way before we increase their range of motion? Because it's a 12-week program, so I really want them to be able to see some gains and have some motivation as they're building their strength up, and wasn't sure which way you guys would recommend.
Good question.
Yeah, both options are getting them stronger, but only one of them is improving the range of motion at the same time. So if you take somebody that can go down to parallel and you get them to, through mobility work and whatever, be able to go down another couple inches, you've added a longer range of motion, and it's more resistance. Yeah. So I would always focus on range of motion. Now, does this mean you need to aim for ass to grass with everybody? No, because for some people that might never happen, or it may just take a long time. But I like to get people to the point where they can at least come a little bit below parallel.
That's exactly parallel. That's the goal for me. Like I definitely don't want to be loading a client, especially early on in a 12-week program, more, and they can't even break parallel. If they're not breaking parallel, I'm not going to put an extra 25 pounds on just so I can say, look, you're squatting 25 more pounds. I'm going to express to them exactly what Sal said is, listen, if we can get an extra 6 inches deeper into your squat to where we're breaking parallel, you're stronger. And so forecasting that as you start. So as you start the program, teaching them that that, hey, a greater range of motion, even with the same weight, equals a stronger version of yourself. And so, yeah, I could load you up, and telling them this, I could load you up with another 25 pounds and, you squat down less than parallel, and we could say, oh, look, but that's not going to help you. That's not what's better for you. And so that's how I would communicate that. And so, but once I got somebody who's breaking parallel or more, then I'm going to play that game a little bit of both, right? I'm always going to be trying to get a little bit more range of motion and working on mobility. But I also, if they're already breaking parallel, I would load them up. They don't necessarily have to be all the way ass to grass for me to do that.
No, in a lot of times that's sort of the missing factor of really being able to engage their glutes. So you'll see a lot of women not really feel any activity there in the glutes, whereas, to be able to kind of break that parallel to get them to engage is what they really needed. And so, to kind of take them through that range, obviously real gradually and like slowly loading, but, really creating that stability and creating that tension, especially in the bottom part where, we're weakest. And that's why I like box squats. I like having, sort of a targeted goal for them to achieve. So it's just below that parallel to, slowly increase their tension and, and then load it appropriately. So, taking them through that gradual process, you're going to find a lot of success with that.
Justin brings up box squats. A lot of people think that box squats are relegated to power lifters or strength athletes just because they use them quite often to increase their numbers. But I use box squat. I never trained I've 99.9% of my clients were everyday people, and I use box squats every day. And the reason why I like box squats is I could take somebody slightly below what they can stabilize at. So let's say I have a client who can go down to parallel, but they can't really make it down below parallel. I would get a box and set it below parallel because at the very least they could slowly descend and control the descent. Then I'd have them sit down, then I'd have them brace, and then I'd have them come up. A lot of people use a box wrong too. They use it as like a bumping target, like just hit the box and come up. No, sit down,
stop your momentum,
pause, brace yourself, come up, because it's the change of direction that people often have the challenge with. It was one of my favorite tools to teaching people to be able to go lower with control.
Generating that force there, from nothing. That's everything. And they're going to get so much stronger that way.
This is also an area where I'll use elevated heels too. It's not something I would have done as a young trainer because I thought, oh, I'm crutching this person because they have poor ankle mobility and I should just keep working on their ankle mobility. Well, I can do both. I can take somebody who can't break parallel because they're so limited in their ankle mobility, show them what it feels like to bring weight all the way down there and control that to the point of getting that good hip strength and that deep squat, because you can still get the benefits of that. I'm crutching them by lifting their heels up. I don't want them to squat that way forever, but to get them more comfortable with getting down lower and getting their hips to generate strength and power from that lower depth. A lot of times I'll elevate the heels just because that's normally the number one limiting factor for clients, especially my female. They're wearing high heels and doing things like that. They're super tight in that area, and then they can't get down any lower. And it's just because if I lift their heels up, boom, all of a sudden they could drop all the way down. But I'm communicating that. See, look at when I elevate your heels, look how deep you can get. That's because we have such poor ankle mobility. If we can work and fix that, you're going to be able to do that without even getting your heels elevated. That's where we want to get. Like, I'm going to communicate that to the client.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you guys say all that. I've been doing exactly what you suggested. I've been working with one specifically who's doing box squats, and I've been having her sit all the way down and pause, rest there before she stands back up. And I've been working with her first to get to parallel and then eventually a little bit below parallel. I haven't tried the heels elevated thing, but I'll talk with her about that and see if she's open to that. I have a feeling I'll see what she thinks about it, but that might be a good idea just to get her feeling what that range of motion actually feels like in her body. Another thing I've been trying with them is doing some of the resistance bands just on the off days so that they are loaded less at the bottom and then increase the resistance as they stand up. That way it's a little bit easier for her at the bottom of the squat and then more resistance at the top. So I don't know if that was good to continue doing kind of on those like pump sessions in between the workouts, or what you thought about that aspect of it.
I would like to tell you, when you do the back to the elevate, sorry, I'm like stuck on wanting you to do this, because an easy test for a trainer with no weight, no nothing, is to have a client stand up on your tippy toes and show me a squat. Like, just demo that. And I'll tell you, 90+% of the people will be able to go all the way down and sit their butts on their calves. That's a clear indication that this is not a hip issue. This is not, it's literally the ankles that are not allowing us to get down there. And that's an easy way without stressing them or making them feel weird and awkward by putting their heels on. Just stand on your tippy toes and see if you can and squat down with them and see if they can do that. You getting them to do that is going to show them that that's the root cause, and then that's where we need to put all our work. And then I'm putting all of my energy towards that. That one thing, this is why I'm such a big fan of the combat stretch, and I've talked about it ad nauseum for the last 5-6 years, is because that right there will solve probably 90% of your clients that are not getting below parallel. Just that alone. That's how important that is.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. I'll definitely do that.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Do you have you're a coach? Do you have Prime Pro? That's a really valuable program for trainers and coaches.
I do have Prime Pro. I love it. I use it all the time. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Are you in our trainer course?
I'm not. I did the 3-day intro one, but
Awesome.
I haven't signed up for the actual course. It's really cool.
Well, good deal. We'll reach out to you. Thanks, Nicole.
Okay.
Appreciate
Sounds
it.
good. Nice
Thank
to meet you all.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. It is a good question because I know a lot of people, when I was younger, range of motion was not as important as weight on the bar.
Yeah, it wasn't really as much of a consideration.
No, it was like, I'm just going to go lift heavier. And when I finally, and it was a bodybuilder that convinced me, when I finally lightened the load and did a greater range of motion, muscle just came onto my body and I got so much out of it.
Yeah.
It's adding resistance to a shorter range of motion is not going to. In fact, there was a period of time in the 90s where you had people experimenting with partial reps because the theory was, well, you could just overload the body, right? You half squat with so much more weight that's going to build so much more muscle. And of course, it fell out of favor because it doesn't work.
Well, I just think it's nearsighted. I think, you get two benefits. You get functional benefit, you also get the strength potential benefit. You also get more chances to increase, your overall size of your muscle. Like if you really focus on that range of motion and getting strong, because it is like a whole nother exercise once you pass a certain range of motion that your body recognizes. And so in order to avoid dysfunction and then also get stronger overall and then build more muscle and maximize your potential, I mean, it just makes perfect sense.
I mean, the reason why I'm drilling home the elevated heels is because
you like heels?
Yeah, totally. Because I think more than 90% of my clients that couldn't break parallel, that was why.
Yep.
It's rarely ever something else. Now, there is 10% of the time when someone has a unique situation.
But majority, you're right. It's ankles.
It's like just getting them to be able to improve their ankle mobility all of a sudden improves their squat depth dramatically. Yep. And that's such an easy test to figure that out. And then if you see that they can like all of a sudden go all the way down,
you know what the problem is.
You know what the problem is. And now, and then instead of like, and this is what happens, a lot of trainers overcomplicate improving somebody's squat because they see the beginning. Like, so what happens is they see the asymmetrical shift and the chest falling forward and not breaking parallel. And so they see all these problems, but it's all stemming because they can't, as soon as their knees start to travel forward a little bit, the body goes, it tightens up. And then all of a sudden you see this dysfunction everywhere else. And it's like, if I just lifted her heels up, now all of a sudden she can sit her butt down on her ankles. Yep. It's like, oh, that's the problem. Is that's what's limiting her. And then as I stretch her capacity, then you see all this other breakdown. And then the trainers get all focused on all the other areas that are breaking down. It's like, dude, if we just fix the ankles, all this other stuff is going to go away. And so I normally really try and drill that home to a trainer is like, figure that piece out first and really get them better there. And then watch all the other dysfunctions start to get better.
Our next caller is Tyler from Tennessee.
What's up, Tyler?
What's up, man?
Hey guys, how's it going today?
Good.
It's an honor to be on the show with you guys. It's awesome to ask my question. I've been obviously looking up to you guys since I found you guys as a podcast. I'm a coach and trainer, so I love your guys' content. It's helped me with my own fitness journey, kind of keep me away from the shiny object syndrome and give me lots of resources to help my clients with as well.
Good Great. Stuff. How can we help you?
So the question that I had for you guys, at the time that MAPS Performance Advanced came out, I hopped on that program. I got it because I was kind of trying to condition back into my sport. And as I'm working through that program, I'm trying to figure out what a good approach would be for sort of a year-long kind of phasing of your guys' programs.
What do you mean by year-long phasing?
That has a lot to do with sport.
So my sport, I kind of do year round. And I'd love to kind of find a program from each of your guys' different options that I can kind of pair along with my sport and going through the whole year.
And this is for you, Tyler?
Yes.
So much of this is dictated by the volume of the sport you're playing.
Period.
That's it. I mean, so like when someone says I'm playing a sport year round, what's the best program for you? The first thing I need to know is like, are you playing your sport 2 days a week, 5 days a week?
What's your off season look like?
And
so what does all of your strength training activity look like?
So it ranges, I would say, in what I would say like my off season for the sport. And the sport too, if you guys are familiar with Juji Mufu on Instagram.
Of course we are.
His big flipping and spinning and acrobatics, that is the sport that I like to do.
Oh, sick.
Terrible sport for me to do. I'm like 6'2" and over 200 pounds, but it's a fun thing to do.
So how often do you train? Do you practice that? And what does that look like?
So I would say in peak season, which I tend to do it outside on grass. So the biggest time of the year that I spend the most on my sport is probably spring and summer. And that looks like probably 3 to 4 training sessions a week, probably anywhere from like 30 minutes to probably 2 hours. It's definitely not, it's more of like a HIIT exercise than anything. I kind of do a bout of my sport. I kind of rest, relax, and then I go apart. Similar to like gymnastics, kind of tumbling movements. It's a very technique-based sport, so I find that I have to do it a little bit just to maintain like my air awareness, how my body moves in space.
Yeah.
Anytime I've tried to include weightlifting in the past, it's been really easy for me to overtrain, especially in my early 20s. Like when I didn't know any better, I just would do like a 5x5 program and train the same, and I'd be like, man, my joints really hurt. Like what? It seemed like just like a sunk cost to do weightlifting, and I ended up just doing my sport.
Are you now? Do you compete in this?
No, it's just like 100% recreation.
Oh, all right. Well, okay. So here's the deal. You gave me a huge range, 30 minutes to 2 hours. But you're training yourself and not competing. It's all going to be based on what you want more of and what you're doing more of. If you're really training hard at your sport, then you're going to do strength training maybe once a week. Mm-hmm. If you're out there just practicing your movements and keeping your skill, and it's not super intense, and you can strength train more often. Yeah. It's a real kind of tough to answer because the range you gave us.
I mean, I would look at it like this: both the sport and strength training. I'm not allowing myself more than 4 to 5 days of combined. And so if you're doing 3 days or 4 days of practicing your sport, you might be strength training 1 day a week. If you're only doing your sport 1 day a week, like say in the wintertime, just to keep up the mobility, flexibility, the skill, then I might strength train 2 days a week. But you just have to balance that based off of the volume and intensity. And what most people make a mistake of doing is doing too much. Is trying to do both, and then both suffer.
Let's make it a little bit more specific because it could be 3 days a week, Adam, of 30 minutes, like you said, right?
Yeah, but if it's intense HIIT, that's intense.
Yeah, but I mean, that's less than like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, well that's if you're doing 2 hours 3 days a week, you shouldn't be doing nothing else.
Maybe total time. Maybe we should look at total time. If you're doing three hours or more of your sport, then you're doing 1 day max of strength training
at moderate intensity.
At moderate intensity. If you're doing so maybe look at it like I'm not going to do more than 4 hours of intense workout throughout the week.
Yeah,
and then
and an important thing for me too is like, because I don't compete and it's more about the fun of it for me, it's less about like optimizing my training to keep pushing the limits, but more of like, can I keep doing this for as long as possible? I'm turning 30 this year, and it's more about, can I just do like my sport for as long as possible? And I know like maintaining muscle mass is important, keeping up flexibility and mobility. The sport is very like unilateral. So it's a lot of spinning and rotating to only one side of my body. So it is very like presents imbalances, which is kind of why I wanted to get originally into training. And I got interested in personal training because I was like, man, like this is all to one side. I'm jumping off of one leg, just ripping to one side.
So I'm going to throw something out here. And here I want to hear the other guys, how they think about this, because this is obviously unique. if I could program you for the whole year, then I would probably put you on a symmetry type of program 2 days a week, and then you do your sport 2 days. That's kind of how I'd want to see. That's how I envision like a nice balance of, since it's not like you're competing, but you want to keep the skill up, you want to be good at it. We don't want to overtrain. So 2 and 2 would be a pretty good balance. And then and maybe sometimes because you're really into it summer and you're loving being outside, you go 3, but then you drop down to 1 of strength training. And then maybe it's the winter time and you only get to do 1 day of your acrobatic training, stuff like that. Then maybe I'll let you do 2 days of actually strength training. And so I would toggle between 2 and 1 days of strength training with 2 and 3 days of this sport. And I think a program like Symmetry and or Performance is probably the best balanced program for you for like running year round.
Symmetry or Performance Advanced, and really like incorporating those priming movements and the mobility pieces in between, just to reinforce and create that stability with all this explosive movement. I mean, that's your biggest goal, is how do you recover most optimally when you're accelerating all the time and putting that kind of stress on your joints. So I definitely agree with Adam. I think that's probably a good protocol. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how you would do on like more of a 15-minute kind of like consistent touching the weights approach. If we were to try that for a stint, but you'd have to all base that off of your recovery. If that's like even a lot, after doing that and then adding the explosive movement.
That's what I was going to recommend, because are you looking more to you said maintain the skill. Is it more about the skill or the stamina?
Yeah, because that would maintain your strength and then you'd still be able to perform.
Yeah, because if you just want the skill, then you're better off doing a little bit of strength training and a little bit of practicing your sport daily.
Yeah.
If you want the stamina, then you got to go out there and do an hour of it. But if you want the skill, go ahead.
I would say like stamina is not too big of like from a training demands. Like if I was an athlete and like what am I missing as an athlete? I would say like my strength and my stamina is perfect for the sport, and anything. My strength and muscle is more just like I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too, and like be jacked, but also be athletic.
Mm-hmm.
But.
I think Justin might have hit the nail on the head. I think MAPS 15 and then maybe 20, 30 minutes of practicing your sport after the workout, you could probably do that 5 days a week. And you probably be better off with your skills doing it that way.
It'd probably be better. Like your body's gonna be learning that. Again, this is all like part of that practice, like where you just keep reinforcing the signal.
So I ran through Performance Advanced. I loved it. I was coming off of an injury last year, so I didn't do my sport at all for 6 months. I tore my Achilles, and I rehabbed that. And then basically my off season, when I was rehabbing that, I just ran MAPS Anabolic and actually just put on a ton of muscle in my upper body just because I wasn't doing my sport, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then as I got out of my rehab and doing stuff, that's why I got Performance Advanced. Started doing that, felt great with it, started doing my sport like 1 day a week. And then when I finished Performance Advanced, I actually kind of intuitively went the MAPS 15 route and have been doing that to kind of lower my training volume. And now I'm like doing my sport maybe 2 to 3 days a week.
I like that.
And I've been doing that for about a couple weeks, and it's been feeling good.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. On point.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Tyler, did you listen to the 2 interviews we did with John?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, he's been on Mind Pump, bro.
I didn't know you had him on Mind Pump. That's actually really awesome. Probably before I started listening.
Way before. I mean, we put John wasn't even that big yet at that time. It was like I don't even know how many followers he was at, but he was kind of small. We got connected through a partnership. Chimera Coffee, who was a friend of ours, knew us and knew them. Yeah. And in fact, I think we were probably one of the first big platforms that he had came on. So he's been on the show twice.
Oh, that's very cool. I didn't know that. I've been following him for since I started this 2010.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good
deal.
deal.
Look it up.
Good guy.
All right, man.
But yeah, thank you guys. So probably maybe something in my off season, I kind of focus reducing my training volume, kind of maybe up it in the gym if I want to build a little bit of muscle in a weak area or just selfishly. And then kind of do maybe Performance route, 15 route, and maybe something like Symmetry as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We got something for you in the future too, so stay tuned.
Oh,
yeah, 15 minutes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, I was just gonna say thank you guys. I really appreciate the time.
You got it, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in.
All right, thank you guys.
See you, man.
We got to name that sport. It's just, keep saying sport. What's it called?
He calls it.
It's like
acrobatic something, right?
I don't know. He calls himself the anabolic acrobat or something like that.
It's been a long time since I touched base.
How do you train that? I mean, I guess I just see I'm picturing a grown man going out to the grass and just like.
Yeah, it's a lot of tumbling.
I'm doing my training.
It's a lot of gymnastics. It's very gymnastic and very very similar and a very high skill, obviously explosive movement.
Yeah,
so, yeah, it's cool.
Crazy. Look, if you love the show, head over to mindpumpfree.com. We have a free guide that can help you burn body fat. It's a body fat loss guide. It's free. You can also find us on Instagram. Justin is at mindpumpjustin. I'm at mindpumpdestefano, and Adam is at mindpumpadam.